Coffee. Hey everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Addicts in Recovery. This is Zach, and to my right is Spencer.
Hey everyone.
And this week we are talking about rehab. What is rehab? What is it like? What are the myths and the facts about rehab, and kind of what should you expect? Before we begin, if you enjoy our videos, make sure that you hit that like button and then subscribe so that you can get new videos every time we post them. And if you have anything you would like to talk about regarding this video or other videos, please leave a comment in the section below. And if you have not already noticed just by this introduction and you are listening to our podcast, we now have videos. So check us out on YouTube. It's super easy to find us, Addicts in Recovery Podcast. So let's get in, man.
Yeah, so rehab today, huh?
They tried to make me go to rehab, and I said no.
Well, I'm so glad for that little brain worm.
So we've been talking about rehab now for basically the majority of the day. And the second that we decided to choose rehab as a topic, that song has been in my head. So, and
Thanks for sharing.
Coincidentally, the anniversary for Amy Winehouse's death was only like a couple days ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's very recent actually.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think that it's a coincidence that she comes out with an extremely famous song about not going to rehab and then dying from a drug overdose.
I'm sure the irony for her and her family is fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it's terrible. In a more fucked up note, while I was in rehab, anytime we got into the druggy buggy or the Ativan, I swear to God, that was always on the playlist. It was we're riding down the road, everybody's jamming to Amy Winehouse.
That's fantastic, kind of gallows humor, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. Well, I mean, you got to learn how to laugh at it, right?
Yeah, you've got to have fun in recovery, otherwise, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, exactly. So, rehabs. I think right where we should start out is who should go to a rehab? Who should go to rehab?
Well, I think that's a quintessential part of the equation, isn't it? And just for the benefit of everyone that's watching and listening, hopefully, we've both had our experiences of rehab or treatment, and we'll use those terms interchangeably throughout. Like sometimes I call it treatment, sometimes I call it rehab. So in terms of the people that could go to rehab or that have the opportunity or the desire, well, actually, let me break that down, because I think, as I was saying, that I don't think that I realised that I needed to go to rehab. I just knew something had to change. And it was going one of two ways, right? It was kind of binary. Like, one was a zero, which was like jails, institutions, and death, with a heavy emphasis on death. And the other one was sobriety, right? So it's for me, I didn't know what rehab was really, because I wasn't an alcoholic or a drug addict.
Yeah.
But I had, and it's a term that I've heard used many times, kind of the gift of desperation. And do you remember I was talking about step zero, right? Mm-hmm. So for anyone that doesn't know, the Fellowship of AA is a 12-step program. And it's something, I don't know that it was necessarily my idea or just where it came from, but I've latched onto it in any case, which is step zero, which is, funnily enough, the one before step one. And step zero is just the kind of the stage that you get to where just things need to change. And you don't kind of know how you're going to change those things. You don't always necessarily know why either, but it's just stuff's got to be different, because if this is it, then
yeah,
no thanks, right? So how about you? What was it like for you when you were kind of faced with the prospect of going to rehab?
So there are many many people that I've met in recovery that did not need to go into the confines of a I would call it the nut hut, or I mean there were all sorts.
that.
There are all sorts of names for it. But I was one of those people that my life had become so ingrained in the drug use. My family life, my at home, at work, everything that I did, every aspect of my life was somehow involved in my drug use. There was no other way for me to get away from it. And this is looking at it in hindsight, right? Because in the middle of it, you don't think, you don't realize like that it encompasses every aspect of your life while you're in it. And it's kind of like you can't see the forest through the trees, right? But what I've noticed is there would have been no way that I would have been able to pull myself out of the hole that I was in, or really anyone for that matter, if I was not removed from all of that shit and put into a controlled environment where I could then have people show me, like, this is what's fucked up. This is where you're screwed up. These are some serious fucking issues. And people really didn't even need to show me. All I needed was about a month of no drugs in my system. And it, huge red flags, and there's like a parade going on outside with a big banner that says your life is fucked, and like, I'm not kidding, man. And there was like a marching band, and like anytime I closed my eyes, there it was just screaming in my face. It didn't take all I needed was for the drugs to be removed, and then there it was. But because it was just so ingrained, it was just so everywhere. For me, there was no other way around it. I needed to be institutionalized. I needed to be put in a safe environment where I could get at least the beginning of this new path that I'm on.
And how long were you in treatment? Like 4 months, 5 months?
Yeah, 4.5 months.
4.5 months.
I told them 90 days. I got in there, and the therapists were like, all right, well, we're gonna reevaluate this after 90 days, and I'm like, we're not gonna fucking reevaluate anything. I'm leaving after 90 days. Kiss my ass. And here, I'm not even a week off of drugs, and I show up to the fucking rehab drunk. And
that's very cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was 9 a.m. and I had to sit in an airport. And what do you do in an airport? Well, I mean, you just sit at the bar. It doesn't that's just the thing.
It's one of the places that it's actually sort of internationally acceptable to drink at any time of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's not really a time zone in an airport, right? Because you never really know where you're operating from. So
I heard actually that because I was in Thailand for treatment. I was in treatment for 3 months, and I thought I was going for 30 days when I went. Right, so, but apparently in Bangkok Airport they have meetings, AA meetings, in the airport, and I think that's a fantastic idea. Yeah, like how smart is that?
Yeah,
very clever,
absolutely brilliant. But I got to the 90 days, and they were like, "All right, well, you demanded that you're the one that fucking is leaving in 90 days. Where are you going?" Oh my God, man! I had a fucking meltdown. Back to my room. Leave me alone.
So true, isn't it?
They were like, "Here's the ball. Ball's in your court, man. What are you gonna do?" I'm gonna fucking have a total meltdown. And then my therapist looked at me, and I'm gonna quote what she said verbatim. She said, "You are way too unstable to be released back into society.
Yep.
I am keeping you here." And I was like,
told.
Okay, I guess.
It doesn't really, there's not a lot of room for negotiation there, is there? It's like,
She was right, too. It was fucking nuts. So as far as the way that I see who should go, I think it's really, for one, it's very personalized who should go. Like, it depends on your life, your situation, and really the kind of, I guess, the drive that you have.
I think that, you pick up on a couple of points. I mean, I think the first one that I'd raise is that I was the same as you. Like, I needed to be completely removed from the situation and put somewhere else without any of the people, influences, places, etc. around me that had got me to where I was. And, I think that sparks in me this incredible admiration for anyone that goes through who doesn't have the opportunity to go to treatment, who just finds the 12 steps and goes through the meetings and gets sober that way, because I don't think I could have done that.
No,
I don't think I could. So I have huge respect and admiration for anyone. And that's lots of people, right?
Yeah,
that's a lot of people that do
people.
that. So I think there's that. But I think that when and I was telling you earlier, right? When I got to my treatment center, my counselor described me as a motivated mess. Right, so it's like, yeah, he was saying to me that I was willing, but I was an idiot. Like, I didn't know what to do, and I was just like, I really wanted it.
Which is a good place to start.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot better than my fucking start.
and I do think that that's kind of like, if you're being forced to go, I think that's a much more difficult. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I think that's a much more difficult kind of mindset to start from. Like, I don't really need this. I don't really want this. This has not been my decision.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of because I think you've got so many more steps still to travel to get to even step 0, as I was talking about, right? So I think there has to be kind of it's about you. It really comes down to you, and I don't think I can put it any more plainly than that. I think it's like if you think that you might need to go, then you probably should. If you have you probably, and when I say probably, I mean 100% definitely fucking go.
Yeah,
like
this is the thing that and songs like the one that Amy Winehouse was singing really put rehabs into this negative light. Like it's bad that you see. Here's what I don't understand, and this isn't just me. This is human. This is addict philosophy or addict mentality, I guess, just to a T. I can live my entire life being a total fucking asshole. Okay? I can ruin all the lives around me, ruin my own life. I can end up in jails. I can end up in overdosing and in hospitals. I can end up causing all of these problems. Okay? But when I come up to someone and say, hey, I need help, all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I can't be seen as this person of weakness. And it doesn't make any fucking sense because it's like, because why is it that all of a sudden I'm so concerned that people are finding out that I am asking for help?
Like you say, it's addict philosophy 101,
it
isn't
just doesn't make any fucking sense. But there's this stigma. I guess it's really just letting go of your ego, right? There's this stigma that like when you're going to rehab, like it's a low point and you should and society looks down upon it. And in reality, it's not. Like, more than anything, if an addict can come to the conclusion that they need help, and they go out and they actually like put in the effort to get that help, that is so beyond the opposite of a fucking low point.
I mean, I have to tell you, Zach, that that there's a lot of reframing and that sort of stuff that goes on in as part of the work that you do in terms of mental health and stuff while you're there. But the idea of having this kind of breakdown was often reframed to me as a breakthrough. And I have to tell you that I think that my time in rehab is probably, certainly in the top 3 best experiences and most significant turning point in my life. I'm not saying it's fun. Let me make that very, very important distinction.
You're telling me that it's not a vacation?
Yeah, I think we'll get on to that one because
some people think it's a vacation.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's kind of that you go there and like you have the spa over here, and like then there's kind of like whatever, like not so much, guys. If that's and as you were saying to me before, right? It's if you are in rehab and you are having fun, you're doing it wrong, because this is a kind of possibly one-time chance to really seriously work on yourself, and that means being uncomfortable. I mean, that means being seriously uncomfortable at some points.
Well, part of recovery, a major part of recovery, is learning to live with discomfort.
For sure.
I mean, that's why I would drink and use all the time. So what is it that a person can expect from going to treatment?
Well, I think the first and foremost thing is that you'll be cured afterwards. You will no longer be an alcoholic or a drug addict. It's just a complete. In fact, they just give you this tablet and you just take it once and you're good.
What happens if you take 2 of them?
You're such an addict. Double drop, right?
Double drop, yeah. I mean, God, you triple drop, and it's like that movie Limitless.
Yeah. That's it basically.
Unlocks
they give you the
100% of your unlocks 100% of your brain, and bam, you're done.
I mean, so what do you expect? Well, I think there's a bunch of different aspects that we could talk about. I mean, I think that for me, obviously it's not a vacation, right? It's really not a vacation, but and I think that this is probably different between different rehabs, but certainly the ones that I've been to or visited or stayed at, the level of discipline is something that sort of surprised me. So there was some very fundamental rules that you're obviously there's no drinking or using, that without saying. I hope that goes without saying. But for things like mobile phone usage, like I know you when you were at yours, you weren't allowed even to have your mobile. We were allowed to have ours, but they had to stay in our rooms or they would be confiscated. And there's times when you go to bed and like when you get up, and you are quite regimented in terms of your behavior, and that sets a structure, I think, for the days. And I really needed that, and in fact, I kind of thrived in that condition. We had mandatory exercise. I know not all places would not.
Most of them do.
Yeah, I think a lot of them do because it's good to the endorphins and all good stuff, right? But groups, there will be groups almost certainly.
Lots of groups.
Yeah, and I mean, I enjoyed it. Enjoyed, that might be. It was a really positive experience for me. Let's put it that way.
Let's just say he is one sadistic motherfucker. Okay.
As true as that may be.
What do they call that? A masochist? Person who likes pain?
Yeah. If they like to inflict it on themselves, it's masochist. Someone else is a sadist.
Okay.
There you go. Learn something.
Every fucking day with you, man.
Yeah, I know, right? The groups, and we did a wide range of different stuff. I mean, cognitive behavioral therapy obviously features quite highly, but we did all sorts of different other things. There's something called smart recovery. We did refuge recovery. We did trauma release exercises. We did like all sorts of stuff.
Which, by the way, we have an episode on from months and months ago that's all about 12 or just recovery groups in general. That if you're wondering what any of those are, refuge, 12 steps, smart, we talk about all of them. So,
by the way, do the 12-step one. That's a good one. Yeah. And then we also had meditation, and because I was in Thailand, so there's a lot of mindfulness and that sort of stuff, which I really dig. But I think there's certain aspects that kind of take you by surprise as well. I don't know how this was for you. I'd be really interested to get your view on this, because one of the things that I hadn't really accounted for was the fact that I was going to be with loads of other addicts. And I know that sounds sort of stupid, naive, ridiculous, but like they're all crazy people, right? But you've got everything from someone that's cannabis, alcohol, all the way through to the, like, you know, injecting opiates into your eyes or whatever. Like, you know, it's like there's some crazy people doing some crazy shit. And it kind of blew me away, the kind of, you know, and I think especially because I never had done heroin, and like the heroin addicts do seem a little bit, there's a difference.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean like they have a different relationship with their drug, I feel like, to a lot of other people. I suppose meth is kind of maybe a bit, I don't know. I mean, you're the meth specialist here. Sorry, Zach, that's terrible way of phrasing it. But yeah, I don't know. How did you experience the sort of the wide range of different addictions and people?
So as far as before I got into the actual center itself, I definitely had this stigma, the stigma that we were talking about, where it's like, this is a whole new low. I've, you know, lost control of my life. And then I thought, okay, like I ever fucking had control of my life. That's just like the biggest fucking illusion I think I've ever pulled on myself, is that I had control of my life. And then I thought, how the fuck am I supposed to move to this place, okay, for 3 months and live with a bunch of drug addicts?
Yeah, who thought that would be a good idea?
Yeah, who the fuck thought that was a good idea? Not only that, but like, do you know who I am? Like, I am not about to go share the room with some fucking junkie, okay? I'm not gonna fucking do that. You're fucking crazy. You can't trust those motherfuckers. And speaking from experience, yeah, because you couldn't fucking trust me as far as you could throw me. Something I also had come to realization with in treatment was that I was a habitual liar. Phenomenal, really.
Isn't it wonderful? Some of those things that
God.
you uncover, like. I discovered that I wasn't nearly as clever as I thought I was. That I was an arrogant prick.
I came to a solid conclusion that I was an asshole. Yeah, for sure.
Like, I mean, I didn't even necessarily come to it myself. It was pointed out to me by my counselor. And I remember, Zach, I said to him, look, you know, I think I'm a pretty kind of smart guy. And he was like, yeah, you're in Thailand, like 8,000 miles from home. You've pushed away your family, your friends, your marriage has collapsed, you've lost your job, you're not seeing your son, you've got no money, you're in huge debt. But tell me, how smart are you again? Like, you was like, ouch, that stabbing pain in my heart.
It burns. Yeah. Yep.
And you're destroying all your everybody's lives. You're a complete fucking tornado of shit, and you're ruining all your opportunities in life. You know, so well done.
You're brilliant. You're in
rehab,
you
mate.
You are the smartest motherfucker around. Yep.
Like, Spencer, you're in rehab in Thailand. Like, just fucking level for a minute with me, yeah.
I was one of those people that, and I've worked in multiple treatment centers now. And I run into them all the time, is if this place just fucking operated the way that I think it should be operating, man, it would save millions of lives, right? It would convert the whole fucking planet, and their addiction would be eradicated from humankind forever.
It's so true.
And then we'd have lunch. Like, stole that line from you. And then I get these people that do this, and because I've done it, and then I think, like, and someone brought this up to me when I was in treatment. We were complaining about the quality of the food. Okay,
right. Okay,
the quality of the food, because Cisco is the big chain, and I mean okay. Here was our complaint. We were like, we're tired of eating, I think it was pasta or something like that. We're tired of eating pasta and all these carbs, and we're bitching about it. And the guy that makes the meal plans, he gets the whole group together, like 20 people, And he goes, you just came from a fucking trailer park and you couldn't keep a needle out of your arm. You can't keep a bottle out of your mouth and you are dying from liver failure. And you have, whatever other drug problem. And then he points at all of us and he goes, and now you care about what you eat? It was like...
Mic drop.
Yeah, because it's so fucking true. But I had this expectation that like I was gonna be doing all of these things and like I was gonna have this level of care, I guess, and the groups were gonna be a specific way, and the people that I associated with, and I was gonna get so much time with a therapist, and nothing that I was expecting to happen actually happened the way that I expected it to.
And I think one of the biggest things for me was that I didn't want it to be uncomfortable, right? I wanted it to be really kind of safe and that's not what it's for.
No, you're supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to jar you and to make you look at what is wrong, and that was something that I was not expecting. But I also don't want that to deter people either. Like it's the most if we let it, because there are several people on average, I think there was about 15 to 20 people in the treatment center that I was in at a time. And honestly, I can think of in the first year, 3 died. And then in the since then, I can think of maybe 2 other people that have actually remained in sobriety. Yeah. Everybody else just goes back out again. And
I think statistically that's pretty much the norm, right? That's
like average, right on point. Yeah. And it's because these people come in and here, this is the expectation. And I think you said it earlier. I went in and I thought that I was going to be getting cured. That I expected that I was going to go in there. I was going to spend the 90 days and then I was going to be able to leave. And when I initially went in, I thought I was going to be able to drink. Like I thought drinking was sober. Because I know it's like super fucked up, but it's true. I was a meth addict. I thought I will leave there and I will know how to drink, like a normal person.
When I left, I thought, well, I'll be able to do meth.
Yeah, exactly.
But anything else, no.
Exactly, and that just wasn't the case at all. Like I went in, and instead of finding the way that I wanted things to be, I had to conform to what they told me to do, right? And I had to be not only willing to do it, but I had to put that action into work. When they say go to a group, you know what I did? I got up and I went to that fucking group. Like, there are so many times in rehab when people go, oh, I'm too tired, or oh, I'm like, I don't feel good, or oh, all you do is sit. You sit, except for, the half hour to an hour a day where it's like, okay, they'll make me work out, right? But the rest of it is you sit. Like, yes,
sometimes you have to stand up and walk at short distance and stuff like that. But
come on, for the most part, like, yeah. Oh, I don't feel good. Well, you're sitting in a fucking chair.
You're in rehab, dude.
And you're in rehab. You're not supposed to fucking feel good. Nobody else feels good. Like, why? But they're all there, right? Because you got to put in fucking effort.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, I was the motivated mess. I was there for 90 days. We had a group every single day. How many groups did I go to? I went to 90. I went to I did not miss a single one. I'm not going to miss one.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck else have I got to do?
Yeah.
Like, this is the reason I'm here. Like, why am I not going to go?
Yeah.
That's fucking stupid.
Well, what's ridiculous, though, is, I don't even say it's ridiculous. It's we'll play games with ourselves. I mean, we will easily play games with ourselves. And so one of the real things that we need to keep in mind is why we are there. It's not to sort bills out. It's not to sort our relationships out. It's not to sort anything else out except for ourselves. Like, that is basically what it is. I went to treatment to fucking fix myself. And then by the end of it is when I started like getting into, started kind of reintroducing myself into life.
And I think there's a famous quote by Winston Churchill, which kind of describes the end of of rehab, like leaving and stuff, which is like it's not the end, it's not even the beginning of the end, but it might be the end of the beginning. And I think that's really profound. It's kind of like, look, this was just the first bit, right?
Yeah.
This was just the intro.
Yeah.
Now you've got your life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, we have a daily reprieve. So better get to work.
And then we get into this misconception, and I had the misconception. I'm sure that I think you said you had the misconception of going to rehab and then it just being done. And that's it.
Yeah.
I went to rehab. My life is good. I can move on and I can, live a successful fucking life, right? I'm not saying that isn't possible. I'm sure it's possible, and I'm sure that there are people out there that have pulled it off.
There's just none in this room.
For one, there's none in this room. And for two, I don't know if I've ever met any of them.
Yeah, no,
most of the people that go into a rehab and then they leave the rehab and they don't do anything afterwards, they end up right back where they started. I personally know dozens and dozens of people that I could, on first name basis, that have done exactly that. I once met a pilot, and this man, I'm not kidding, he had everything, okay? He was making 6 figures a year as a commercial airline pilot from one of the biggest fucking airlines in the world, okay? And he went back into the same treatment center 4 times in 2 months.
Wow.
4 times. So what he would do is he would come through. Oh, sorry, I said so 4 times within a 2-month gap. So
Yep.
so he would go through it for 30 days, and then within 2 months he was back again, and then within 2 months he was back again, and then I think the 3rd and 4th time it was like within a week he was back again. And what he did was he went through treatment. Didn't really. I mean, it seemed like he had it. It seemed he had this really good facade, and then he wouldn't do anything. He would just leave. And within that week, without going to a meeting, without reaching out to any of his contacts, without doing anything like that, he was back again.
I mean, I think that's one of the most valuable parts that we did in Thailand. My rehab was called Hope. Wonderful place. Love the people. Henk, if you ever see this, hi and thank you.
Hi, Hank.
We did a plan. We had like sessions on planning, and there was actually a session called landing. So what it's going to be like when you get back to your house, and you've got your bong in the front room still, and there are bottles of liquor in the fridge or whatever, whatever.
Yeah, man.
Like,
you know how many needles I had to fucking.
So, like, what is your plan to deal with this? Because let's think about it now. And we would do a plan in kind of the last couple of weeks that we were staying in the treatment center to say, right, how am I going to structure my days? Which meetings am I going to go to? Where are they? How am I going to get there? Getting in touch with people. And my friend, one of the guys from a fellowship friend, who I'm really hoping is going to be on the podcast with us soon. 2 weeks before I left treatment, I hadn't spoken to him in months, and we'd met a couple of times. He texted me, just kind of out the blue, and it was just like a recovery meme or something. And I didn't really know anyone in the recovery community back home. And I leapt on this, right? I was like, that's some crazy higher power shit right there, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I jumped on it. I was like, I'm really scared. I'm in treatment and I'm going to be coming home in 2 weeks. And please, can you meet me and take me to a meeting? And blah, blah, blah. He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, of course. So he picked me up and took me to the meeting, which is a meditation meeting. And as you guys, well, you know, and hopefully the guys will know, that's kind of my thing. And it was just great. Because I was one of I shared quite early on in the meeting, and I just sort of said, look, I'm just out, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I have not done many meetings in the past, please be nice to me. And just the outpouring of love and and care and welcoming kind of feeling was fantastic.
One of the things that I forgot to mention was really how much community was actually built when I was in treatment. When you're in treatment, when you get to a rehab, and I guess when just a person gets to a rehab and they sit in the same building as dozens of other people, that are all struggling from the same thing. It's almost like getting to a lifeboat while you're swimming away from the sinking Titanic. Like everyone,
That's a really good analogy.
Everyone is just grateful that they are alive, and they're helping everyone that they can to get into the lifeboat. And they're, when you get in there, people are throwing like coats over you to keep you warm, and so you're not dying from the cold. And it's just this level of community and humanity that I had never experienced before. I thought humanity was specifically for Disney movies. I thought that's what it was, right? Like, good people doing good things just didn't really actually fucking happen. It was only in some type of Walt Disney flick that I would watch when I was a kid, fucking Simba coming back and avenging Mufasa. I didn't think that humanity was real, and it wasn't until granted, I mean, when you have as many drugs in your system as I did, humanity, like human, doesn't exist. So there's that. But you just create this community, and everyone in there really starts fighting for each other, and you create these bonds you've never created with people, and then you leave, and then you're like, where the fuck, what do I do? When I left, I remember just being terrified, because the way that I had built because I didn't know who I was when I was in treatment. Like, I had to relearn who I was, and everything that I had learned about who I was based around these people that I was in treatment with, and then I just left them. I was like, what the fuck, what do I do, right? And so it turns out that when I got out and followed the plan. See, there's one thing about making a plan. There's another thing to following the plan when you leave rehab. Like, we can make plans all day, right? Like, plans are great. We can plan out our future, but to actually take the steps towards it is a completely different thing. And that was the first thing that I did. I got out on my little sister's birthday, and I got home, okay? And it was a surprise to my little sister. Like, yay, your drug addict brother's home from rehab. It's so white trash. And I get there, and my whole family's there, okay? And I'm less than, I don't know, maybe 12 hours out of this treatment center. And my whole family's there, and they have this big party, and like, we have dinner, and all these things are great. And here I am, like a deer in the fucking headlights. I didn't know how to behave around them. I didn't know how to behave, period, because I didn't even know who the fuck I was. I didn't know what I enjoyed, what I didn't enjoy. I didn't know who I liked or whatever. And the one thing that I remember them telling me in treatment is, the day you get out, go to a fucking meeting, okay? And so that's what I did. I left this family party. I left my sister's birthday, the party that they threw for me to come home. I left it, and I went to the meeting, the meeting in town. And I'm not kidding, that whole feeling of kind of connection, I mean, it wasn't as like powerful as I had it when I was in treatment, but when I got into that meeting, it was still there. Like, that feeling was there, that community, that safety net that I had. And so for a really long time, the only reason that I even went to meetings in the beginning was just because it was a familiar environment. And I wouldn't fucking get high.
I relate to that completely, because I think I didn't go to a meeting when I first got back, but by the time I got home, it was like 10:30 at night, and I travelled back from Thailand, so I was jet lagged to hell, right?
Excuses.
Yeah, I know, right? Doesn't matter that there wasn't a meeting. Find one.
Excuses.
But then that was Friday night, and then on Saturday I went to 3.
All right. We'll let you have that one.
Yeah, it was. It was. I had a sense of belonging, and when I was talking to people in the treatment center in rehab, I had these kind of moments that I'm sure that you probably went through this as well, but I was like, oh, fuck, it's like that for you too. And like, there was this real kind of empathy and relatability between us that I'd never experienced. Like people that genuinely had the same issues, concerns, problems, and we were there together. And I love that analogy of the life raft. That's really smart. In fact, I'm stealing it.
Well, I stole it from somebody else. So.
Well, yeah, that's basically
really everything.
All the good ideas are stolen.
All the good shit that I ever have to say has been told to me by somebody else. So I have zero credit. I take zero credit for anything that I say. But one of the things that I also noticed that I really need to touch on is the length of time in treatment. Being that I've worked in treatment centers and I've gone through treatment myself, and I've seen the patterns in addiction and in alcoholism and whatever vice it is that you want to call it, people always think, all right, I can go for 30 days, right? 30 days. 30 days, looking at 30 days in front of you, it seems like it's a really long time. I mean, that's a whole fucking month of my life, right? A whole month of my life, okay? How am I supposed to spend an entire month of my life away from the world, okay? And I am going to set my life aside and actually actually go out of society for an entire month, okay? That's a long time. Coming from the person who is now looking back on that month, that's not very long. Like when you actually break it down, 12 months in a year and you average out 80 years in a lifetime, how much of your life is it really?
I mean, it's a speck, isn't it?
It really is. Okay, and now I'm going to throw another curveball at you, and then you can be afraid of this or not. I don't really care. But guess what? 30 days, 99.9% of the time is not enough.
I'd love to see the stats. I mean, I know you've glibly made up.
I literally just said that. I shot it off the top of my mouth, but find someone to prove me wrong.
But I'm very much inclined to agree with you. I think that I don't know what the stats are, but from my kind of slightly anecdotal experience, I mean, people are coming and going while you're in rehab the whole time, and I was there 3 months, which is the longest you can really stay at the one that I went to. And people coming for 1 month or 2 months. So I think I crossed paths with over 100 people. And I would say of the ones that I know about, the ones that have stayed on the path are very few and far between. Probably less than 5. And I think... all of the ones that I'm thinking of all stayed for the full 3 months. 30? So I'm not saying that it's like you stay for 3 months and you're good, but I said from my experience, if you stay for 90 days, your chances are better than if you're 60, and those are better than you're at 30. So I think that for me, 90 days really should be like the start.
I think I agree. So when I was in treatment, they would tell us, and this is what they would tell us. I haven't actually seen any real, I don't know, I guess statistical data on this, but they would say there are 2 deciding factors in long-term recovery: length of stay or amount of time in a treatment or in a recovery setting, and family involvement. If you have high family involvement, and if they go out of the way, which is something like my family, I have a really hard time taking credit for my recovery because a lot of people did a lot of things to help me get clean. And if my family wasn't involved in it, I would not be here. I could almost guarantee I would not be here. And if I didn't stay the amount of time that I did, I remember coming out of the first month of treatment, like just kind of coming to the realization that my head wasn't just shoved up my ass. My head was up through my ass, through my stomach, and up almost into my
into your head.
Yeah, yeah. Like it was shoved so far fucking up there that there was nothing in this world it would dislodge it in other than more time and a whole lot of therapy. And the because you just can't, a person cannot live for years and years and years, okay, in one terrible and in all their habits and in all this shit, and then expect to for 30 days and then just be cured. Like, that doesn't happen. It takes time. It takes repetitive fucking action that needs to be ingrained to build a solid foundation to then grow forward from there. But if I didn't have that repetitive action, especially even after the first 30 days, I mean, I was literally like, it was still fucking dark. I mean, I might not have been staring at like my chest, but I was still probably staring like at my colon, you know, it wasn't dislodged yet. Okay. And I know I'm like using this, but it's true.
It's grim.
It's grim, but it's fucking real. It requires time, and yes, a month does seem like a long time, and yes, 3 months seems like it's fucking forever. Okay, but it is amazing how quickly that time passes, especially because of all of the things that you're learning, of all of the experiences that we're having, the relationships we're building, the whole experience in general. It actually passes much quicker than you'd think, and it's worth every miserable fucking second of it. Every miserable fucking second of it.
I know that that there'll be people watching and listening that have not been to treatment, and that I found it so enriching in terms of my life. I knew that things had to change, and I remember getting there and talking to one of the counsellors who I had a really great relationship with, and he said to me, "There's only one thing that's got to change in recovery: everything." And I was like, what? And I remember being terrified. And at the time, like, that is terrifying, but it's actually just an amazing opportunity. It's an incredible opportunity. Easy for me to say.
Blah, 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 blah.
And, you know, not something that you're presented with on a daily basis.
No.
So grasp it. Take the opportunity. I mean, I would say it's, yeah. I mean, what would you say are some of the key indicators for people that are not going to get the most out of treatment? What would you say is their kind of...
So you've got to really be careful, because there's a lot of people that don't take treatment seriously in the beginning, and then they leave, and then they realize that they need to take it seriously. Usually after like a significant relapse. But what I have found specifically is the people that actually put in the effort, the people that went to the groups and didn't just sleep through them, right? The people that actually applied the principles in their lives, and they did the things that were uncomfortable, and they were miserable. The people that were the people that were the most miserable in the treatment were the ones that did better.
I was a miserable fucker.
Yeah. Oh man, I was. Oh God. I was so fucking miserable that the main reason why I never wanted to go back was so that I never had to be that fucking miserable again.
Well, they did sort of say, like, a couple of points, like other people there was said to me, Spence, you know, like, why do you take this so seriously? I said, I don't want to fucking come back. Like, this is my one shot. This is it for me.
Yeah.
This is not gonna, you know, like...
Yeah,
this is my life,
and it is for a lot of people. But for some reason, like, and I don't know what it is. I mean, everybody's different, and it depends on if you're ready, right? Should I go or should I not go? Also comes down to who is pushing this, who is deciding this. Like, I know so many people that go to rehab for their wives, for their kids, for their family, for fucking their job, for whatever. And yes, those are extenuating circumstances that push just about anybody into a treatment center, but. Are you actually going because you want to get better, or are you going because you're being forced to go? And even if you are being forced to go, I was forced to go. I also thought, drinking was sober. But I was also fortunate enough to be able to be locked away from society long enough to see how fucked up I was. If I was not forced to go at that period of time, I probably wouldn't have. Like, honest to God, if the extenuant, nobody goes to rehab or nobody is just sitting there living a great life and then goes, you know
Tomorrow?
what? I'm going to check myself into a fucking rehab. Like, nobody does that. Like, there's always extenuating circumstances, but depending, I think we also need to ask ourselves, like, why? Why am I going? Who am I going for?
I think that's absolutely critical, because if it's not coming from you, then you've got more steps to take, as I think I alluded to earlier. And one of the things that I kind of learned there was that my recovery was the most important thing in my life, and it had to be. And people are like, what, more than your kids or more than your family or more than what?
Fuck yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I mean, I was taught that. I didn't realize that myself. Like, I learned that while I was there. Recovery has to be number one, and it always has to be number one, and it always will be number one. And they like, well, how can you care more about your recovery than about your own son? It's like, well, if I don't have my recovery, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. Like, it's just gone. And not to mention all the trust that I've rebuilt, the relationships with my family and all the good stuff, that's gone.
See, this is the other thing that I also like about treatment. First of all, I love the line. So what they would tell us is the first thing you put in front of your recovery is the second thing you're going to lose. And I love that line because I used to use that line all the time. First thing, and then there was the other line, and this is when they passed the buck to me when they were at 90 days, and they were like, all right, where are you going? There was a line that they would, and it was almost like they knew this was coming. Like they knew, they were just waiting for me to hit 90 days so they could watch me collapse.
It's maybe as if someone had done it before.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, but throughout treatment, they'd always say, once you think you've got it, you've lost it. Once you think you have perfected recovery and you never have to worry about it again, you've lost it. And then they give me this other line. Your best thinking got you here. Holy fuck. I fought that line tooth and nail. I thought that was the biggest load of shit. My best thinking did not get me here. My worst thinking got me here. And then they pulled this. Humans are known, specifically known, to act on their best assumptions and their best judgments. That's just humanity. That's just what we do, right? So if I thought, better and was acting better, then I, as a human, would have acted upon that. So yes, my best thinking did land me here. And so they give it to me. And of course, then the whole I cry and fucking melt down and turn into a fucking blubbering fool. But it was really bad. But I wouldn't have learned these things. Just those 3 lines, for instance. I wouldn't have learned those if I wasn't in treatment. Because people come out of treatment, if they put in the effort, they come out of treatment like recovery fucking juggernauts. Like, most people who can't afford treatment or who don't have the opportunity to go, they don't get that experience. They don't get the lessons that you learn in a treatment center from the people that have been in it and are in it. Like, they don't get that shit. And it is a life-changing and really recovery, just exploding experience.
Well, you live recovery 24 hours a day for 3 months, 4 months, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Like, it's an indoctrination process almost, isn't it? And, I really like what you say, because I was fortunate enough to have that kind of education on addiction, really. And in previous podcasts, we've talked about Brené Brown or people like Gabor Mate or plenty of other different sort of experts in addiction. Johan Hari was another one that I particularly enjoy. And you become acquainted with their work, and you understand kind of the drivers behind addiction, and you kind of really... as one of my friends would say, you take the back off the telly and you get kind of involved. Like, you understand a little bit about why you are like you are and that other people have those problems, and kind of what the tools are to be able to go about putting your life back together, which, by the way, is in pieces on the floor.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of that, but like you say, Zach, I really like what you say. You come out like with a shining sword, by the power of Grayskull, I have no recovery. And I remember walking into my first meeting, and like I was scared and nervous, but I was also like, well, I do know quite a lot of stuff, and that then there's someone there who's like, yeah, well, I've been sober for a while now, and you sort of like. When the people say things like that, and I sort of said to him, how long? And he was like, 35 years.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Longer than I've been alive.
I was like, I'm 92 days. Yeah. And do you know what he said to me? Well done. Well done. And I kind of humbled by that, because that's one of the things that I always kind of forget, is that anyone that's coming through those doors, like... I've been in that position, and so has everyone here. Yeah. and that's kind of why I think that's one of the, that warmth about the AA meetings, is that, like, if you're turning up for the first time, or you're going into rehab, and like the counsellors see, like, everyone's been in that position. Everyone there has been in that position. And one of the great things, just to talk about counsellors and relationships a little bit, I had a fantastic relationship with my counsellor. He crushed me.
I hated my counsellor. Hater.
Well,
that's because she was good.
Yeah, right.
Like, I respect the hell out of her. She really saved my life. But oh my God, she just fucking.
But that's the thing. One of the things that I remember my counsellor sort of saying to me is like, "I'm not your friend. I'm not your friend," and that's kind of stung me, because like I'm a people pleaser anyway, right? So it's like,
just keep going.
Really? Is this your phone? It must be.
That was from Phoenix, Arizona.
So yeah, the counsellor really kind of tore me to bits, and like ate me up, shat me out. I was crushed, and then he built me up again, and then he crushed me again, and then he built me up again. But he was just phenomenal and the right person at the right time for me, and it couldn't have been anyone else, because it was him. And it couldn't have been any other time, because it was then. And I know that may sound kind of really stupidly obvious, but I kind of really believe in that, actually. And in terms of relationships, there's obviously you're in a rehab, men and women are there together and shared experiences and stuff like. What do you call special friendships that can occur and stuff like. It's it's kind of forbidden.
I actually got away with one of those. I was one of the very few that actually got away with like an under table rehab romance.
Wow.
I know.
I mean,
too.
Yeah. One of the things I'd say is that most rehabs will kick you out if they catch you or find out about it, or at least one of you.
I have a really good friend who has an amazing son, and his son came from the girl that he met in rehab. And let me tell you, they're not together. Like, this isn't some happily ever after fucking story, because rehab romance, you don't take. This is what I was told in rehab. They said 2 sickos don't make a wello. And we'll just like keep that. Yeah, 2 sickos don't make a wello.
And do you know what, mate? I think that there's more than that. Like, you are there to concentrate on yourself. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah, it's
like
just really easy.
It's just take that time. You're never going to have this opportunity again. And I keep saying this, right? But you're not going to have that opportunity again. Focus on you. Like, take that time, learn, educate yourself about yourself. Find out who you really are. Find out what you like to do. Find out the type of people you like to be around. And, you know, you have the ability really to reconstruct your life from that point. So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about intimacy and relationships.
That was good. Rehab romances are a big thing. There have been several people that have been kicked out of the treatment center that I was in and the ones that I've been working in due to rehab.
Same. Yeah, same.
Well, I mean, it's so much easier to explore somebody else's hidden places than it is to explore your own. I think. That's okay. I'm gonna go with that.
That's a very bad turn of phrase, but yes.
So to wrap it up, we have a couple of like kind of simple tips on what to do if you were thinking about going to rehab or if you are on your way to rehab. Some of them include things like do what you are asked to do. I know.
I mean, I think that it's just as simple as that, isn't it? When my counsellor said to me, I promise you, if you follow what I say and you do the things I do the things I say, when you leave, especially when you leave, do these things, you're going to be one of the ones that makes it.
Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path.
I've heard that before.
I know. It's a pretty good line.
Yeah.
And really it's just have the willingness to listen, have the willingness to learn, and have the willingness to dislodge your head from your other cavities, and it will you'll be amazed. You'd be amazed. Like you will wholeheartedly be amazed.
And I think one of the tips that I was given was stick with the winners. And I just want to sort of explain that a little bit because there will be people. I'm not saying that people don't have jokes and laughs in the group and sort of in sessions and stuff. Like you're not a robot, right? But it's just a case of doing the work. Don't be the guy that's just always fucking around. You know what I mean? Like it's like do the work, and you'll find that there are some people that are there and to do the work, and some people there that just to fuck around. I would stick with the people that are there to do the work because you know that's going to be a good quality group for you to be with.
And separate yourself. This is one thing that I had to learn the hard way. Just because people would always say, surround yourself with people in recovery. Surround yourself with people in recovery. Don't surround yourself with people in recovery. Surround yourself with people who are working a recovery program. Because I have met a lot of people in recovery that have not successfully gone through recovery. And so I don't surround myself with those people. I surround myself with the people who have been successfully working or just you don't even have to be successful if they are trying to work a program and they are putting in the effort, then that's who you want to be surrounded by. But that's really all I got, man.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm good. The river has run dry, my friend.
All right, guys. So just to throw this back out there, make sure that if you like our videos to like, comment, and subscribe. And do not forget that we are also on Instagram. Find us on Instagram at Air Recovery Cast. AIR Recovery Cast, I think. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
It'll be somewhere in the comments below. So
thank you for your support, guys. And thank you, Zach, as always.
We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Who the fuck called me from Arizona?
There's probably some fucking